on Graham Zug, but the replay shows that Zug beats the coverage. He beats it. Just throw the ball out in front of him. But Bolden doesn't get the ball there. So instead of first and goal inside the 5, they have to settle for a field goal. Now, the thing is, those holes in the secondary need to be fixed by Bama against Duke this week because Arkansas looms after that. And Ryan Mallett at quarterback will take advantage of those holes. He's got the same kinds of tall, veteran receivers that Penn State has. And Bobby Petrino at coach is notoriously devious at exploiting inexperienced secondaries. And so really this Duke game is very important for Alabama to fix that.
I think your questions are shared by Kirby Smart and Nick Saban as well. Mark Barron's the veteran of the secondary, but he's not a real vocal guy. So they have to replace good players, but also a leadership void in a hurry.
A.J. Green, no go for the Georgia Bulldogs in the first 2 games of the season. Head coach Mark Richt saying that they plan on Tuesday to appeal the rest of that 2-game suspension. They want to get him back a little earlier than that. He expects to hear back from the NCAA on Wednesday whether they have him for the game coming up against the Arkansas Razorbacks. A.J. Green suspended for the 4 games for accepting $1,000 for a person that the NCAA ruled as an agent after he sold a game-worn jersey. This is what we're looking at with the Hogs and the Bulldogs. Georgia leading the all-time series 9-3. Ryan Mallett doing his thing so far. 6 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And Georgia last in the SEC in rush offense, which is never good when you consider one of the best receivers in America, A.J. Green, is not playing. Aaron Murray, you're still waiting for them to open it up for the young guy a little bit. Is this the week that happens? And do they need that to happen against Arkansas?
Well, I mean, you look at it, last in the SEC in rushing. What helps a young quarterback? The running game. So obviously it would be a success if they could get something going. Yes, you miss A.J. Green. I think it shakes your confidence. It's somebody that you didn't take a lot of shots deep last week and you didn't open up the playbook. And I think you needed to beat South Carolina. Who's your deep play guy? It's A.J. Green. You don't feel as confident if you're not throwing the number 8, who's the best receiver in college football. So Georgia's definitely got some issues, but running the football, this offensive line and the two backs they have in Washaun Ely and Caleb King, that's supposed to be the strength. So I need to see that.
Well, last week, I mean, you talk about a Georgia defense giving up 180-something yards to one running back. That's a problem. 3-4, 4-3, I don't care what your defense is, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Secondly, Arkansas is going to throw the football. So can you stop? If you can't stop the run, you can't stop the pass. You might be in a little bit of a trick bag.
Arkansas right now #1 in the conference in both offense and defense. And again, they're cooking it. 500. Now, they haven't played a lot of tough people. I'm just saying. But again, I think they're a better football team. I think Ryan Mallett can get it done.
It's an Arkansas offense that once again will have the best passing offense inside the SEC. And after setting or tying 16 school records last season, Ryan Mallett is back. And he's playing in Heisman Trophy contending form right now. Completed 73% of his passes for 701 yards, 6 touchdowns, only 2 picks. Having said that, going into this game, you imagine this is the type of game for Georgia. If they're going to stay in it, they have to score points. And minus A.J. Green on the field, that is very, very difficult to do. This Georgia offense is completely different without their best football player on the field. And we talked a lot this past offseason about 10 starters coming back to offense except the quarterback. It was Aaron Murray as a freshman. How would he play? Could he manage games? It is so much more difficult to go out and have success without your biggest weapon. You think back to last year with A.J. Green, Mark Richt's ability to line him up in the slot outside, set him up against smaller, slower linebackers, set him up against smaller safeties, jump up for jump balls. For a freshman quarterback to have that type of target on the perimeter of the field is so much help because in the SEC, you're seeing all these versatile defenses, looks you've never seen before, and it's a security blanket to have the type of player like A.J. Green on the outside that you know you can just throw the football up to and he'll go grab it, but he doesn't have that against Arkansas, and this makes it very, very difficult for Georgia.
Georgia's obviously got some woes and some things that they've got to work through. They've got some youth, but we're going to be airing this show in 5 weeks. And we're going to know all we need to know about the Arkansas Razorbacks because they've got Georgia, they got Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M. So they're either going to be a top 10 team that we're talking about climbing the charts, or they're going to be completely out of the mix. And the determining factor for me is will that defensive football team, Coach, as you mentioned, #1 right now in the conference, getting some cream puffs, will they be good enough to stop the run, hold up with their depth, Pat, to be able to let that offense get on the field enough times. That's going to be interesting to me, is watch Arkansas's defense forget about the offense.
And you know what? I think that defense will take a step forward. Bobby Petrino is an offense-first guy, but he's also obsessed with winning, and he spent all offseason saying, how are we going to get this defense better? I think that defense will step up, and if A.J. Green isn't there, I don't think that defense has too tough a task.
Tom, I disagree with you just a little bit because of 2 games against Cream Puffs, Arkansas has struggled. They've turned the ball over. And that's the one thing Bobby Petrino has said. If we do that against Georgia, give them confidence, let them get going, and let Aaron Murray get the confidence, because you improve from week 1 to week 2. You should. And if you go from week 2 to week 3 and you really make improvement, especially as a young quarterback, I think that's where those turnovers can play an important role.
Well, then you actually do agree with me. You said the next 4 weeks will be the telltale sign.
Right now, Arkansas has been able to throw when they want to throw, not when they have to throw. They'll have to throw it under situations, and I think a lot of those percentage completion and yardage is probably going to go down.
No A.J. Green, but plenty of Greg Childs coming off a monster performance, even making his quarterback Ryan Mallett say that he thinks Childs is the best wide receiver in the nation.
Child, please.
Time now to talk a little bit more about what we learned from week 2. We've talked about what we learned from South Carolina in that game against Georgia. Their offense looks pretty good with a stout running back. But what about Georgia? Coach Mark Richt saying after the game he wants to open it up a little bit more, expand freshman quarterback Aaron Murray's role. Is the redshirt freshman ready for more, Matt?
Well, he's going to have to be. I mean, he's shown flashes of it. And look, you've got a freshman quarterback. Everybody understands that. Most of this league is juniors or seniors at that position. That being said, he's your guy. You got a true freshman behind him, and you can see Coach Bobo and Coach Rick saying we have to entrust more of this offense to Aaron Murray. Listen, he's gotten good numbers, 14 to 21, and he's throwing the ball well. He's not throwing picks, and at the same time you wonder how many plays are you leaving out there on the yard because you're bridling in your quarterback. You want to let him move around in the pocket. That's who he is. We've seen this happen before. You think of a Texas last year when they tried to rein in Colt McCoy, and there towards the end of the season said, forget it, let's let this guy play a little bit. Colt McCoy was a senior. Aaron Murray was a freshman. Regardless, in this conference, they're going to have to let their quarterback make plays.
Welcome back to SEC Weekly. Let's take a look at Ryan Mallett's numbers for the first 2 games of the season. Thrown for over 700 combined yards, 6 touchdowns, a pair of interceptions, but pinpoint accuracy against Tennessee Tech in the opener. However, neither of these defenses really represent the caliber that he's going to be facing in the SEC. And Matt, last year Mallett had a monster game against Georgia, passed for 408 yards, 5 touchdowns, but that was in a 52-41 loss for the Razorbacks. Now he's going to be facing this new 3-4 scheme of Georgia's defense. How will that affect Mallett?
Well, the biggest thing for Ryan Mallett more than anything else, and then we'll get to the scheme a little bit, is playing on the road. We know he's got a big arm, he's got big numbers, but can he show up in big games? That's something he hasn't done yet. And offensive coordinator Garrett McGee says, listen, this is what our success hinges on, is whether or not our quarterback has success. You can't just throw 12 completions on the road versus Ole Miss, Florida, and Alabama last year. This year, if you're really going to make waves and announce your presence in the SEC West, you got to win games on the road. And this 3-4 defense is based around unsettling the quarterback position. You want to pressure him, you want to hit him, you want to force him into bad decisions. That's something that Ryan Mallett, not necessarily with interceptions, but his completion ratio. They said they want to aim for 80 to 85% completion ratio. That's unbelievable. That 3-4 defense wants to prevent that.
More on Georgia's defense. A lot of the players looking back at that loss at South Carolina, they're hanging their heads. Some saying they weren't wrapping up on tackles, others saying that they weren't really swarming to the ball in that loss. What do you see as what needs primary improvement, reflecting back on that first SEC game for Georgia's defense?
Well, you know, it's not just me and what I see, but I think it's what the players at the University of Georgia see. You hear some of the quotes coming out, Darrell Gamble, Clint Bowling, leaders, seniors, when you look at them on this team, one on offense, one on defense, saying the effort has to be better. Tackling really comes down to effort. There's some technique involved, but you got to want to get the guy to the ground. It wasn't as if they didn't have hats in the hole. They had free guys there. They were able to get off blocks. Even Steve Spurrier said afterwards that it wasn't as if it was a scheme thing. More than anything else, it was the tackling effort. They have to do better, and offensively up front, they got to open up some more holes on the ground to help their freshman quarterback out.
What about Arkansas's defense? It's supposed to be much improved from last year. Can you tell anything about the defense from the first 2 games for the Razorbacks?
Not really. I mean, when you look at who they face, it's been very, very soft. That being said, you still want to see improvement. You can always go out there and slop around on defense against inferior opposition, and we've seen that with other teams already this season, but Arkansas has to improve, and we know that they're strong offensively, but on defense, you can't afford to be in the cellar once again, last in the SEC last year, on the defensive side of the ball, they have playmakers. They have guys that can get after the passer. I like their linebackers with Franklin and Nelson. The idea is, can you play together as a unit on the road in a big ball game?
Time to put Matt now on the hot seat. Let's pick some games here in the conference, rapid fire style. That means you're going to give me a winner.
Okay.
Arkansas, Georgia.
I'm going to take Georgia, and I think they're going to be able to get after Ryan Mallett. They're without Dennis Johnson at running back. I don't know if they can get things going. If they be one-dimensional, I like Georgia's defense. How many words was that?
More than 5 to 7.
Who do you have on upset watch this week?
Well, it depends on what you call upset once again. Sometimes the people in the desert have a number, and sometimes it's on rankings. Well, for me, it's on rankings, and it's Arkansas against Georgia, playing at Georgia. This Arkansas defense, returning 7 starters. I've heard a lot of talk from the players about how this is a different group, how they're going to be playing a lot tougher this year defensively. Well, I'm going to have to see it from this Arkansas defense against Georgia to believe it. Ramon Broadway, one of the defensive backs, said a year ago they would actually get mad as a defense when the offense didn't score because they knew it would put so much pressure on them. Well, this year he says they're ready to take on that responsibility. Well, going against this Georgia offense, redshirt freshman Aaron Murray running this offense. Rashawn Ely had the costly fumble in the loss to South Carolina last week. These guys are going to be all fired up, playing at home, playing for their SEC lives, and possibly now the job of Coach Mark Richt. I think this Georgia team's going to be all fired up. Upset watch, not necessarily an upset pick.
They're not going to like you in Fayetteville for saying that. They're going to be saying,
I said upset watch.
Big, Suey, El
I'll get my pick tomorrow. I said
Little
upset
Rock,
watch.
all that. They're thinking that this could be a special year for their Razorbacks.
Let's go over to the SEC. The NCAA committee is hearing an appeal by Georgia wide receiver A.J. Green. Remember, he received a 4-game suspension for selling his jersey to somebody who was deemed an agent. We're expecting a decision anytime. In fact, if the committee sides with Green, he could be back on the field this Saturday against number 12, Arkansas. And speaking of that game, Dogs looking to rebound off their last game, which was a conference loss to South Carolina. In fact, this game really could be for Georgia's season. You know Arkansas can score points. They present a lot of problems with that offense with Ryan Mallett and company. So what are the biggest keys to the games? Here's Chris Spielman.
Biggest key to the game is Georgia's defense and how they respond and getting a physical beating by South Carolina. All the players were upset at their performance. The coaches were upset. Even Mark Richt, head coach, called out his defense and said, we got pushed around. If they want any chance to beat Arkansas, they have to start flying the football. They need to be more physical. Now, they're going to show Arkansas a 3-4 scheme. Hopefully, they'll be able to confuse the quarterback. The guys, he's tough to confuse.
Now, no one has ever questioned A.J. Green's effort, but he has, the Georgia receiver, run afoul of some NCAA rules, and the Dogs were hoping to be able to get his 4-game suspension shortened, perhaps even in time to play against Arkansas tomorrow. But the NCAA has upheld that suspension, so Green, who has caught passes for over 1,700 yards in his 2 years in Athens, will have to sit out.
Welcome to Speed Drills. Guys, a major theme again this week, quarterbacks playing on the road. It was a rude baptism for Penn State's Rob Bolden, for Georgia's Aaron Murray. So, Desmond, give me a quarterback who you think might have a big game on the road. Turn the tables this week.
I think Arkansas is Ryan Mallett. I mean, Mallett is already on fire, 700 yards. This kid is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, especially in the SEC. Going to Athens, that defense, I think they're going to be on the field too much. Let's face it, without A.J. Green in the lineup, it's going to be hard for Georgia's offense to sustain drive. So I think that defense is going to get tired real quick. Mallett's going to have a huge game in that.
Come on, Tez, get out on the limb a little bit. I mean, Ryan Mallett's going to have a big week every week.
Well, Georgia received word late Friday afternoon an NCAA committee rejected the Bulldogs' appeal of a 4-game suspension of their star wide receiver A.J. Green. The Dogs will get Green back on October 2nd versus Colorado. That's not the news Georgia wanted to hear as they welcome in Ryan Mallett and the Arkansas Razorbacks this afternoon. Mallett living up to all the expectations in his first 2 games, completing over 73% of his passes for 701 yards and 6 touchdowns. Young Georgia quarterback Aaron Murray would have loved to have Green back last season. Green had a monster game versus the Razorback. He caught 7 passes for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the talk right now all about Ryan Mallett, and believe it or not, he'll look to do something today he's never done before. Win a road game as a starter. Last year, he was 0-4 in true road games. Those games, of course, coming against teams like Alabama, Florida, Ole Miss. LSU, so some difficult teams in the SEC. We'll see if he can shake his bad luck in Athens this afternoon. We're going to bring in our very own Todd McShay, who's looking at some film at a group of players that hopes to make Ryan Mallett's afternoon miserable in Athens, and that's, of course, the Dogs' defense. Todd, what's the game plan for Georgia's D against Mallett this afternoon?
Well, yeah, game planning is all about figuring out the best player's weakness and then attacking it. And with Ryan Mallett, I think his weakness is his height. Now, some height is good, but at 6'7", there are some weaknesses that come along with it. I think the biggest is mobility within the pocket. You're going to see here, if you can get pressure on Mallett, one of two things is typically going to happen. That pressure has to come up the middle, though. Here's the first thing you're going to see. If you get the pressure, struggling to get outside the pocket, doesn't have great agility, you get the sack. The second thing that's going to happen, as you see here, the linebacker coming up the middle, get the pressure. The second thing is you force him out of the pocket and you fluster him. Make him make good decisions on the run. He doesn't do that very often. Now, the flip side is if you can't get that pressure up the middle and you wind up getting it off the edge, he can very easily step up in the pocket and make a throw like this. Aaron, this is 47 yards throwing off of 1 foot, and it's amazing the things he can do with the ball. The other thing he can do, he throws the fade route and the 9 route as well as any quarterback in all of college football. He has a big-time arm, and he might be the best pure pocket passer in all of the nation. That's why if Georgia has any chance of pulling off this win, you're going to give up some yards, but you've got to get some pressure on Mallett up the middle, force him to move around. Maybe you'll get some mistakes out of him.
All right, Todd, that game an absolute shootout last year in Fayetteville. Thanks so much. We're going to bring in a guy who's actually calling that game in Athens on ESPN at noon, our very own Chris Spielman. Spiels, we talked about Ryan Mallett, the troubles he's had on the road as a true starter. What's key for him today?
Well, I think for Ryan Mallett to go and do what he needs to do, they got to be able to establish the ball on the ground. I know we always say that, but Bobby Petrino has made it a clear point for his football team and a focus for Ryan Mallett to win on the road. They have to be a fourth-quarter running football team, especially against good competition like Georgia. Now, Georgia's defense, they got to step up. They got punched in the mouth last week by South Carolina, and they just kept getting punched without throwing any counter punches. So I'm looking for them to play better than they did last week on the defensive side of the ball for the Bulldogs.
Another group hoping to play better. Georgia's offense struggling last week in Columbia. A tough game for quarterback Aaron Murray. But Spiels, the big news, NCAA committee rejecting the appeal on A.J. Green's suspension. What's the mindset for the Bulldogs right now about that?
Well, for me, first of all, I'm selfish because I want to see the kid play. I mean, he has circus man freak skills, and I don't get to see him. But one man's loss is another man's opportunity. And look for them to go for Oren Charles, number 7 at tight end. I think another outlet receiver for Aaron Murray to get him in his comfort zone. He's getting pretty good, and they're starting Aaron to trust him a little bit more with the offense, so the playbook might be expanded.
All right, Chris Spielman will have the call alongside Dave Pasch, Bob Greasy. That's at noon on ESPN. Chris, thanks so much.
Ryan Mallett, perfect arm, height, size. It's like a telescope out there. I mean, he's so tall. He's like 6'6". I mean, that's probably the tallest quarterback in the NCAA. I went on the blitz. When I hit him, I was like, man, come on and go down. Goodness gracious.
Strong arm, can make some outstanding throws that I don't think anybody else I've seen in our league can make.
Oh, man, he gets rid of the ball so fast.
Touchdown, Arkansas!
Everybody tries to compare his arm strength, his size. I would say Ryan is the first of his kind. There's only one Ryan Mallett.
Mallett guns for his first win as a starter on the road as they visit Georgia. He was 0-4 last year against a tough slate. Wasn't great on the road at Michigan, by the way. But against Georgia last year, 408 and 5 touchdowns. One of the worst Georgia defensive performances ever. All those receivers are back, but they lost 52-41. Not available again for Georgia is A.J. Green. NCAA denying his appeal on that 4-game suspension, so he's out again. He returns against the Buffs, which I think is tremendous because Georgia's going to really need him against Colorado. They do need him in this game. What about Aaron Murray at home now for the loss on the road?
Yeah, without A.J. Green, it puts more on Murray. And up to this point, it's been very conservative with how Georgia has had to attack because of the youth of Murray. But I think this is a game where back home, I think they're going to be able to settle him in. He's very, very talented, just he's inexperienced. But I think he'll be able to settle in. And, another guy on this team that I think has to step up today going up against Ryan Mallett is Justin Houston. Very, very good defensive end, outside linebacker, kind of a hybrid guy. They play play a new 3-4 defense, and he is the guy who has to pressure Mallett, 42 for Georgia. And then for Arkansas, you know, their leader, we talk so much about their offense, but Jerry Franklin led this team last year in tackles. He's going to try to put a lot of pressure on young Aaron Murray. And on offense, Chris, you talked about their group of receivers. It's led by Joe Adams, number 3. He's the guy that makes it happen along with Greg Childs. They'll look for some one-on-one opportunities to make some big plays in the pass game with Mallett.
Mallett, by the way, one of 4 starting quarterbacks in the SEC to transfer from another school. Another shootout between the hedges. Georgia has never started 0-2 in the SEC under Rick. Can Mallett get the big road win finally?
Yeah. No A.J. Green, too much Ryan Mallett. I got Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas is an NFL-type quarterback. That's the guy I'm going with, Arkansas.
I'm going to go with, why not, as you said?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Georgia. Has never started 0-2 in conference play under Mark Richt. They're going to find a way at home to knock off Arkansas. I'm going Bulldogs.
Oh, I think you could say, why not this be the first Georgia team?
Arkansas has won the toss and will receive. Walsh kicking away. Freshman Dricus Humphrey, the return man for Arkansas. Out across the 20, knocked down at the 22.
Look, but they have 3-4 outside linebackers at defensive end.
Mallett in trouble. Gets out of trouble and makes a great play. Complete for a first down to Greg Childs, his go-to receiver at the 34-yard line. Penalty by Georgia this year. And they're going to throw Mallett. Oh, he's got a man wide open. He totally fooled the Georgia defense. Chris Gregg going to have a sandwich, going to walk in. Touchdown, Arkansas on 3rd down and 1.
Short. Arkansas had to know something about this. He hides the ball. His guy was wide open. Great call.
Gets his head turned around. Watch his head come around. Please don't let anybody be there. Please. Oh, nobody's there. Guess what? I'm a good enough athlete. Mr. Cool, Mark Richt. Players excited? Keep it real.
Top 5 in terms of overall draft picks. Low snap, and the punter going to take off. Breeding on the run, and did he get the first down? It's close, right at the spot. Sean Williams was chasing him.
You'll watch the bad snap, and you'll see the punter right here, Breeding, have the awareness of the corner not being taken care of by a Georgia player. That's bad execution on special teams. Then he shows a little toughness, Bob.
Somebody on
defensive coaches on the staff. He replaced Willie Martinez, who was fired after 5 seasons. Mallett stepping up and dumps it off. SEC play. They've never been 0-2 in conference play under Mark Richt. Can Arkansas play with the big boys in the SEC? They enter ranked 12th. Georgia unranked after losing at South Carolina last week. Here's an end around and no running room for Rantavius Wooten.
And hit the receiver.
Drew Butler, one of the best punters in college football, won the Ray Guy Award last year. A boomer from his own end zone. Joe Adams runs into a teammate but doesn't fall down. Adams loose inside the 35-yard line. Adams going to take it in. Touchdown, Arkansas. No flags.
I saw that.
I don't know if he did it seriously as Mallett throws a pass down the sideline that Greg Childs somehow pulls in. At
6'3", going up, making a nice catch.
Now the analyst on the Arkansas broadcast. That was a 27-yard pass play. Mallett moving around in the pocket, dumps it off. On the loose inside the 30-yard line is Adams to the 20. Play action. And Mallett can run, instead throws to Williams, the tight end. Flags come in as Williams got hit hard at the 1.
And it's no match for number 51, Akeem Dent. See, just hold it a little bit. There, he knows the ball's coming to him. Akeem Dent a little bit late. Not looking back on the bootleg. Calling it from the hospital.
He'll be on the phone.
Yeah, on the bat phone.
Long distance.
2nd and goal. Here's Davis. This time he's in. Touchdown. Well, so far, Arkansas handling the adjustment well, going from playing the likes of Tennessee Tech and Louisiana Monroe to SEC play. Play fake for Murray. Looking deep, everybody covered, and Murray dives to the 38. Great job getting this defense turned around. Stepping up is Murray on 3rd and short, eluding pressure, and then gets whacked back at the 36-yard line by Jerry Franklin. Here at Georgia, and the women's gymnastics team, which is here today, one of them. Mallett with a quick toss to Adams, and he's got space. wrestled down and a penalty flag. But he didn't have his lid. Play fake on first down for Murray. Looking deep. And it's knocked away by Broadway for Davis from Georgia, College Park, Georgia. Play fake on third down and long. Murray in trouble. Gets tagged. Big hit by DeMario Ambrose.
Coming from one side, boom, Ambrose from the other. I love those quarterbacks.
Timeouts remaining. They also have Ryan Mallett. And Mallett going downfield. Adams is there. First down to the 41. 48-yard try by Zach Hawker, the true freshman. Got plenty of leg. Wow. And it's good. Heather, 1993 was the last time. Georgia started 0-2 in the SEC. They trail at home by 10 at the half to Arkansas. Reese, Mark, and Lou now in the Bud Light halftime report. Georgia has not had great field position. They'll start this drive from just outside their 20, and a long pass that is intercepted. What a great play by Tremaine Thomas.
I formation. This is exactly what you want to do, except don't throw it this high. You want to throw it to your receiver, not to your defensive back.
There is a flag down, guys, over on the far side at the 35-yard line.
After the play.
Draw play to Wingo. And maybe the best run of the day for Arkansas, about 10 yards. Let's check in with Heather. There it is. Third straight run by Ely, trying to get the corner can. He gets planted after a gain of about 1 by Broadway.
Chance to show tonight.
Play action after 3 straight run plays. Murray stepping up and picks up positive yardage to the 37. Out into the flat it goes for Durham. Out to the 30-yard line, about 7. Bulldogs driving at the 29 of Arkansas. Play fake. Murray hit as he throws. And incomplete. Again, Arkansas able to get pressured. The pitch to Green. Got running room across the 30. Out near the 40-yard line. Pickup of about 13.
He's up here. They like Joe Adams quite a bit. There he is.
Flanker screen to Adams. He's loose. Great move at the 50-yard line. Breaks a tackle at the 45. Inside the 30. And Adams pushed out at the 25. A huge play by Joe Adams.
And right here, a little step back screen. A nice job of blocking downfield by all the Hog linemen. Joe Adams will make you miss and put you on his highlight film once in space.
That's what they wanted. They just wanted to get the ball in his hands.
First-year defensive coordinator. They fake the inside run. Mallett
swing
on the wheel route. He's got Wingo wide open. Touchdown. What a play call. Coming out of the backfield. Nobody picked up Wingo.
It's Houston's man. He's going to do a wheel route. You're going to see Josh Houston right here. You don't know where your corner is, so he's out of the picture. So anytime there's a wheel route, you got to assume that there's nobody behind you, and you got to turn and run with him. As you can see, the corner's taken into the safety, and that's great play calling and working on a guy that's been normally a pass rusher. You ask him to drop, and he hasn't seen a wheel route in practice. He's got to run with the wheel route.
Ryan Mallett's second touchdown pass of the day is 8th of the season. Here in the third quarter and had to settle for 3. Play action. Coming. Murray didn't see it. And down he goes back at the 41-yard line. Tremaine Thomas was the first man to greet him. You see Chris, and it obviously improved greatly. Can they come up with a stop? They do on third down. Big hit by Jericho Nelson. Murray with time. And incomplete, thrown into double coverage. Play clock at 3. Play fake. Murray looking downfield, doesn't see pressure and lost the ball. An offensive lineman recovered it for Georgia. Ambrose hacked it out. Sophomore Tavares King stepping up for the suspended A.J. Green. Broke a tackle attempt by Rudell Krim. Childs at the bottom of your screen. He's been quiet. Flag down. No play. Flag down, and Mallett took a shot. Gamble hit Mallett. Whistle had blown. The flag was thrown. And Mallett's still down on one knee.
And the referee didn't even hear the whistle. The referee with the white hat in the backfield didn't hear the whistles blow from the sidelines. That's why he didn't stop the play.
Before the snap, ball start, number 65.
Murray to the air on second down to the end zone. Broken up, incomplete. Isaac Madison made the play.
Because of the field position, return takes precedence.
There was a bad snap earlier in the game. That was just good enough, and a great kick by Breeding. Gray at his 35-yard line. Terrific tackle by Broadway downfield. Play action for Murray. It's away from one man, but then crunched back at the 40 for a loss of 4. Murray to throw. Has time, then the pocket breaks down, and Murray is sacked. Did a great job to hang on to the ball. He lost his helmet because of the hit by Jake Beckett, but did not fumble it.
Yeah, the routes were all 20 yards down the field. There wasn't one short route. That's my whole point. You're going to take a look. There's nobody within the 5-yard area to throw the football. Then you have Beckett coming in like a man on a mission.
Mallett finds Williams over the middle. Williams pushing the pile to the 45. Now the clock will stop with 38 seconds left to reset the chains on the football. Keep in mind, Zach Hocker, he made one earlier in the game. Mallett throws short again to Williams and stayed in bounds.
Like Chris said, the wind is blowing a little bit right to left.
Mallett has a wide open man. It's Childs. He's loose. He scores. Childs, please. Touchdown. Arkansas leads. They finally found him. He was quiet for the entire second half. And sorry I stole your line, Chris. I know you were waiting for that all game.
It's all you. Sanders Cummings. He's going to sit in the film room and they're going to tell him you got to be patient. Your screen playing corner. He's going to do is he's going to jump on 45 DJ Williams, and you got to play deep to short. He's playing cover 2. You see him jump DJ Williams, which led that space open enough for the safety not to get over, and you give Childs room to work like that and run after catch. Going to make you pay. And so Cummings has got to be patient. You play deep to short, not short to deep.
And Mallett, having the strong arm that he does have, threw it right in between on a line, on a dart.
Once again, our final score. Arkansas beats Georgia 31-24.